Christmas in Port Charles has always been more than twinkling lights and snow-dusted sidewalks. It is a season where long-buried truths rise to the surface, where grudges soften under the glow of shared memories, and where love, often bruised, complicated, and hard-won, finds new ways to express itself. Few figures embody that spirit more profoundly than Maurice Benard, the heart and soul of General Hospital for decades, whose portrayal of Sonny Corinthos has taught generations of viewers that love is not always gentle, but it is always transformative. This Christmas, Maurice Benard's message, both on and off screen, cuts through the noise of holiday excess with a powerful reminder: unselfish love is the greatest gift we can offer, and the hardest lesson we will ever learn. For more than 30 years, Maurice Benard has carried Sonny Corinthos through love affairs that burned hot and fast, through betrayals that shattered families, and through moments of grace that arrived when least expected. Sonny is not a character traditionally associated with selflessness. He is fierce, protective, and often ruled by impulse. Yet, time and again, Sonny's most unforgettable moments are those where he steps aside, where he chooses another's happiness over his own desires. That contradiction is precisely why Maurice Benard's Christmas lesson resonates so deeply. It comes not from perfection, but from struggle. In interviews, podcasts, and candid reflections shared with fans, Benard has often spoken about how playing Sonny forced him to confront uncomfortable truths about love. Love isn't about control, he once reflected. It's about letting go. That idea, so simple, yet so devastatingly difficult, has echoed through some of General Hospital's most iconic Christmas episodes. Christmas episodes on General Hospital have long served as emotional crossroads. Weddings, funerals, reconciliations, and revelations often collide during the holidays. For Sonny, Christmas has been a time of reckoning, a moment when the noise of the world quiets just enough for the heart to speak. There was the Christmas when Sonny watched from afar as his children laughed without him, realizing that his presence, once a source of protection, had become a shadow over their peace. There was the Christmas when he chose silence over confession, believing that the truth would only bring pain. And there were the rare, luminous Christmases when Sonny allowed himself to be vulnerable, when he opened his home, his arms, and his heart without expectation of anything in return. These moments are not accidents of storytelling. They reflect Maurice Benard's own understanding of the season, that Christmas is not about being seen, but about seeing others. Away from the cameras, Maurice Benard has become one of the most open and compassionate voices in daytime television. His willingness to speak candidly about mental health, bipolar disorder, and emotional resilience has saved lives and reshaped conversations within the entertainment industry. At Christmas especially, Benard emphasizes a form of love that asks for nothing back. Unselfish love, he has said, means showing up even when you're exhausted. It means listening when you want to talk. It means giving grace when you feel wronged. For Benard, this lesson is not theoretical. It is lived. He has spoken about moments in his own life when ego, fear, or pride nearly cost him relationships that mattered most. Christmas, he admits, became a mirror, one that forced him to ask hard questions. Am I loving to be loved back? Or am I loving because love is who I want to be? On General Hospital, Sonny's greatest acts of love have often come with tremendous personal cost. He has stepped aside so his children could thrive without the burden of his world. He has released partners he loved deeply because staying would have destroyed them. He has made decisions that left him alone on Christmas night, sitting in a darkened penthouse, the sound of laughter echoing from a life he chose not to interrupt. These moments, painful as they are, define Sonny more than any act of violence or power ever could. Maurice Benard has noted that audiences respond most strongly not to Sonny's victories, but to his sacrifices. People don't remember the money or the power, Benard once observed. They remember the moment he walked away. That, perhaps, is the purest definition of unselfish love. Christmas stories often focus on grand gestures, dramatic reunions, surprise returns, and declarations shouted in falling snow. Yet Maurice Benard's lesson this year centers on something quieter, and far more difficult. Letting go. Unselfish love does not always look like holding on. Sometimes, it looks like releasing someone to a path that does not include you. It looks like forgiving without apology. It looks like wishing happiness for someone who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because bitterness costs too much. On General Hospital, Sonny's evolution has been marked by these moments of surrender. Each Christmas seems to strip away another layer of armor, revealing a man who understands, sometimes too late, that love cannot survive captivity. Maurice Benard's connection to General Hospital fans is unusually deep. Through conventions, social media, and his mental health advocacy, he has cultivated a relationship built on trust and honesty. His Christmas message this year speaks directly to that bond. Love people where they are, he urges, not where you want them to be. This lesson resonates powerfully during the holidays, when expectations run high and disappointments can cut deeply. Benard reminds fans that unselfish love does not demand perfection. It does not keep score. It does not weaponize generosity. Instead, it chooses empathy, even when empathy feels undeserved. One of the most enduring themes in General Hospital is redemption. No character embodies that possibility more than Sonny Corinthos. Christmas, in particular, has often served as a symbolic reset, a moment when old sins are acknowledged, if not erased, and the door to forgiveness cracks open just enough to let light in. Maurice Benard believes deeply in second chances, but he is careful to distinguish them from denial. Unselfish love doesn't mean ignoring the truth, he explains. It means facing it without cruelty. In Port Charles, this lesson plays out in fragile truces, tentative reunions, and the softening of hardened hearts. In real life, it translates to difficult conversations, honest apologies, and the courage to start again without guarantees. While Maurice Benard rarely frames his message in overtly religious terms, his Christmas reflections are undeniably spiritual. They speak to a belief in human worth that exists independent of achievement, status, or success. At its core, unselfish love is an act of faith. Faith that giving will not leave you empty. Faith that kindness will ripple outward in ways you may never witness. Faith that love given freely is never wasted. On General Hospital, this faith is often tested. Characters stumble. Promises are broken. Trust is fragile. Yet, Christmas episodes persist in offering hope, not as a guarantee, but as a choice. Benard's lesson invites viewers to make that choice, even when circumstances argue against it. For Maurice Benard, family is where the lesson of unselfish love is learned most painfully and most profoundly. Both Sonny's fictional family and Benard's real-life family have navigated storms that could have torn them apart. Christmas magnifies those tensions. Old wounds resurface. Unspoken resentments linger. Expectations clash with reality. Benard encourages a radical redefinition of family love during the holidays, one that prioritizes presence over performance, listening over lecturing, and compassion over control. You don't have to fix everything, he says. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is sit with someone in their pain. In a world saturated with noise, opinions, advice, judgments, unselfish love often reveals itself through restraint. Maurice Benard points to moments, both on-screen and off, when the most powerful expression of love was silence. Sonny Corinthos has learned, painfully, that words spoken in anger cannot be taken back. Christmas episodes have repeatedly shown him choosing silence over confrontation, understanding that peace sometimes requires swallowing pride. Benard's Christmas lesson challenges fans to consider when love might mean listening instead of responding, holding space instead of filling it, and trusting others to find their own way. One cannot discuss Maurice Benard's message without acknowledging his groundbreaking openness about mental health. For many fans, his advocacy has reframed what love looks like in the context of illness. Unselfish love, Benard emphasizes, does not shame vulnerability. It does not demand strength at the expense of truth. It learns the language of patience. At Christmas, when loneliness and depression often intensify, this message becomes especially urgent. Benard urges compassion, not just for others, but for oneself. Be gentle with yourself, he reminds fans. You're doing the best you can. That, too, is unselfish love. As General Hospital continues its long legacy, Maurice Benard's influence extends far beyond any single storyline. His Christmas lesson on unselfish love feels less like a seasonal sentiment and more like a guiding principle, one that has shaped Sonny Corinthos' evolution and enriched the lives of those who watch. In a time when the world often rewards selfishness, Benard's message feels quietly revolutionary. Love, he insists, is not a transaction. It is a gift. And like all true gifts, it is given freely, without expectation, and with the understanding that its value lies not in what it returns, but in what it transforms. A final reflection, carrying the light forward. As Christmas lights fade and another year approaches, Maurice Benard's lesson lingers. Unselfish love will not solve every problem. It will not prevent loss or guarantee happiness. But it will anchor us, to one another, to our better selves, and to the hope that even in a fractured world, kindness still matters. In Port Charles, that lesson plays out in hospital corridors, crowded living rooms, and quiet moments by the Christmas tree. In our own lives, it unfolds in everyday choices: to forgive, to listen, to let go, and to love without conditions. This Christmas, Maurice Benard reminds us that the greatest gift is not found under the tree, but within the heart, waiting to be shared. And once given, unselfish love has a way of returning, not as a debt repaid, but as a light that never truly goes out.